Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome to another Tag Tuesday. Today I am going to be doing the Canterbury Tales Book Tag, which was created by my good friend AJ from AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. AJ was kind enough to tag me on their original tag, and I am so happy to finally be getting around to doing this one. If you aren't already aware of AJ's channel, I will definitely leave a link in the description box below, so please be sure to pop over there and subscribe. This tag is based on the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer, which I have never read. So hopefully I will do okay with this tag. There are quite a number of prompts, and AJ says that you can do whichever ones you like. I would like to get through all of them, so we'll see how it goes. Let's get started. So prompt number 1. The host is the character who relates the tales to the reader. He is large, loud, and merry. Recommend a mammoth book, over 800 pages, for March of the Mammoths. Well, I know that, March of the Mammoths, March is over now, but the book that I read for March of the Mammoths was Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. It's a Western, it's an epic novel, it's a Pulitzer Prize winning classic, and definitely worth a read. Prompt number 2. The knight stands for fighting, war, and bravery. Recommend a book with a courageous main character. So for this one, I am going to go with Beartown by Frederick Backman. I absolutely loved how this book was written. One of the main characters in this book chooses to stand up against her entire community and the culture that has been created in the community. She is supported by her parents and a friend who eventually does step up and does the right thing. So it's so good. The third prompt, the wife of Bath, stands for marriage, sex, and arguing. Tell us about a book with a strong female character. Well, you all know I love books with strong female characters, so I had tons to choose from. And one that I've mentioned before, and I've actually mentioned this recently, is Ayla from Clan of the Cave Bear by Jean M. Auel. Ayla is incredibly strong, resourceful, and resilient. I just love her. Number 4, The Pardoner, is all about ambiguity. Tell us about your favorite queer character or characters. I have to go with Shuggie Bain on this one. I loved Shuggie. He broke my heart, and I absolutely adored him. So Shuggie Bain. Number 5, The Miller is bold, blasphemous, and overturns conventions. Who is your favorite naughty character? So my answer for this is probably, beyond naughty, but I have to go with Joe Goldberg from the You series by Caroline Kepnes. I've mentioned him before as well. He's a psychopath, but I really like him. So naughty is probably a huge understatement here, but that's who I'm going to choose. Number 6, The Prioress, is modest, quiet, and compassionate. Recommend a book you don't hear much about on BookTube. So this is a great prompt. I love this. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Western Alien Nation Merit Badge by Nancy Jo Cullen, a Canadian writer. I don't think I've seen anyone else talk about this book. Frances Murray is the main character, and she goes back home after her mother dies, and it's all about the family dynamics and how she fits in or doesn't fit in. It's good. It's worth picking up. The monk cares little for work and prayer. Tell us about an unconventional character. So I actually had a few for this because I love unconventional characters, but I think I'm going to go with one that I read recently, and that is Molly from The Maid by Nita Prose, another Canadian author. She's just a quirky character, and I thought she was written so well. Prompt number 8, The Friar, is all about confession. Confess to us, have you read the Bible, Torah, Quran, or other religious texts all the way through? So yes, I have read the entire Bible, which means I have read, which means I have read the entire Torah because it is the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. and the first 5 books of what many Christians call the Old Testament. So I have read those, and I have read a bit of the Quran, but I have never read the entire Quran. Number 9, the summoner is lecherous and a drunk who tries to sound more educated than he is. Tell us about a book that sounded better than it was. So I'm going to go with a book I've mentioned a few times, but that would be The Apollo Murders by Chris Hadfield. I love Chris Hadfield, but the premise sounded so good. It takes place in space. It's written by an astronaut, but it just didn't live up to the hype for me at all. Number 10, The Parson is Poor but Rich in Thought and Deeds. Tell us about a book that gave you more than you expected. So I'm going to go with one of the BookTube prize books that I read for translated fiction. I thought I had it around here, I don't. And that was How to Order the Universe by Maria Jose Ferrada. When I first got the book, I thought, oh boy, this is not going to go well. And I ended up really liking it. I loved the protagonist and narrator, and it was in my top 3 books for that round, and it did end up going forward to the next round. So other judges must have agreed with me. Okay, so Pandy needs something. I will be right back. Okay, prompt number 11. The Squire stands for youth, beauty, and courting. What book did you fall in love with when you were a youth? So it depends on youth here. I'm going to say that as a teenager, I fell in love with the book I Know This Much Is True by Wally Lamb. It has just always stuck with me, and I've talked about it many times on my channel, so you probably already know about it, but I absolutely loved it. Number 12, The Clerk says little, but his words are wise and morally virtuous. Tell us about a short book that made you a better person. So for this one, I am going to go with Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's, this little book, We Should All Be Feminists. This, it's little, but it packs a big punch, and the language is beautiful, and it had several lines that I just sat with for a long time, and I still think about this book. Number 13, The Man of Law Upholds Justice and Knows the Laws by Heart. What is a book you could not imagine rereading? Well, I'm not really a rereader anyway, but I would say that I absolutely never want to reread Quantum by Patricia Cornwell. It was so horrible the first time that there is no way I want to read it again. So number 14, The Manciple Provides the Food. Recommend a series you think is good from the first book to the last. So this is tricky because I'm horrible at finishing series. I've only read a few. I've read half of Anne of Green Gables series, and I've loved all of that, so I'm hoping that they are good to the last book. But any other series that I've read, I can't say that they live up to the same expectations. So let me know in the comments if you have recommendations that you think would be good. Number 15, The Merchant deals in furs and cloth and is powerful and wealthy. Recommend a book with a powerful message or theme. So for this one, the first book that comes to mind is The Power of One by Bryce Courtenay. I mean, the title kind of gives it away, but it has a very powerful message, and the story is just told in a powerful way. It would also be a great choice for a March of the Mammoths book, if that is something that you're looking for. Number 16, The Shipman is a wine-stealing rascal. Tell us about a side character who steals the spotlight. Again, for this one, I have to go with a more recent read, Enid Pretty from Miss Benson's BEETLE by Rachel Joyce. She stole the show for me. I thought she was a fantastic character, and the contrast between her and Marjorie Benson was just written perfectly. Number 17, The Physician Knows What Ails You and Can Cure It. Tell us about a book you consider a comfort read. So for this, I'm going to say the Stephanie Plum series are comfort reads for me. I am very slowly working my way through them, and I know when I read them that I will enjoy the characters and feel like I just went to visit some old friends. They're getting to be predictable, but it's okay. Number 18, the Franklin is not a vassal or a noble, but a free man. Recommend a book about freedom in any form. So this is another book that I fell in love with when I was a kid, a teenager. I'm going to go with Roots by Alex Haley. I just devoured that book, and Kunta Kinte is a character that will always remain with me. Number 19 is The Reeve is believable on the outside but lies on the inside. What book was different than what the blurb led you to believe? So I no longer have this book, so I can't read the blurb to you, but it's A Train in Winter by Caroline Moorhead. But even just the subtitle, which is an extraordinary story of women, friendship, and resistance in occupied France. So my book club thought that this would be about, these women and their friendships, but it was lacking on a few things, but especially the friendship piece. So we all really struggled with this one because it was not about what we thought it was going to be about, and it was very disappointing. Number 20, The Plowman is good-hearted and faithful. What book do you read over and over and over again? Well, I already said that I am not really a rereader, so for me, the book that I have read the most is Anne of Green Gables. Number 21, the Guildsmen are 5 men who act as a unit and stand for brotherhood or sisterhood. Recommend a book with a strong ensemble cast of characters. I like this prompt as well. I am going to go with a book that is also one that I don't think I've ever heard about it, and that is The Honk and Holler Opening Soon by Billy Letts. This is such a great book with quirky characters, with strange names, and each one of them is just written to perfection, and I just love all of them. Number 22, The Book Makes the Food That Feeds You. Tell us about a book that feeds your soul. I think I have to go with Ordinary Grace by William Kent Krueger. I know everyone's sick of me saying this, but I became a fan last year of William Kent Krueger, and Ordinary Grace just gives me all the feels. It's so good. I highly recommend it. Number 23, The Yeoman Serves You. Tell us about a book that served its purpose, that did what you wanted it to do. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. So this is an interesting prompt because I'm thinking of like textbooks or something that I use for a specific learning purpose. So I'm going to go with Healthcare Ethics, a Theological Analysis. This was for a bioethics class that I took when I was getting my master's. And it was daunting. It's massively huge, but it did have some really good information. So number 24, The Second Nun talks about Saint's life in her tale. What book do you praise often? Oh my goodness, there are so many. Some of them I've already mentioned, but I'm going to go with The Book of Longing by Sue Monk Kidd. I just loved how she came up with the concept for the book and how it's written. It's just so beautifully done. The Nun's Priest is witty and doesn't take himself too seriously. Recommend a book that has a funny or witty main character. I'm going to go with a Terry Fallis book for this one, since all of his books, they always have funny and quirky characters. You could probably pick any of his books, really, but I am going to go with Up and Down, which has a main character that is an elderly lesbian bush pilot, and you can't help but fall in love with her, and she's just fantastic. And then the final prompt is to tag some BookTube pilgrims. So I know a number of people have already done this tag. So I am going to tag 3 people. I'm going to tag Thea from Book Talks with Mrs. Thomas. I don't think she has done this tag yet. I'm also going to tag Kevy from Say Kevy. And I will tag Anne with a book. I don't think I have ever tagged Anne before, so I will tag Anne. Of course, no pressure, but if you would like to do this tag, please give it a go. It's a great one, makes you think a little bit. Thanks again to AJ for creating this tag. AJ has done a few original tags now, and they are always very thoughtful, and I really appreciate being tagged, so thanks again to AJ. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.